Welcome to r/relationship advice. Here's today's story. My wife, 26, has BPD, borderline personality disorder, and after 8 years of fighting, I, 28-year-old male, can't take it anymore. Our son is 5, and I want this to be as healthy and drama-free as possible for his sake. As the title states, my wife has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. We have been together for going on 9 years, and married for 4, and we have a 5-year-old son together. In the beginning stages of our relationship, I choked up her violent mood swings to teenage hormones, and, foolishly, assumed they would pass. As the years went by, the fights got worse, and I found myself constantly being accused of things I didn't do, or had no control over, being faced with negativity, and complaints straight out of bed all the way to lights out. It seemed like there was no way to calm her down, no matter what we tried, even resorting to bringing in her parents in as mediators, to help explain her irrationality, but to no avail. Some fights have led to me being beaten. "She's not very strong, I'm fine," screamed at across the neighborhood, chased on foot while driving to work, and her throwing herself in front of the vehicle while pregnant with our child. About 4.5 years into our relationship, we had a stable period for a bit, and we got pregnant. I felt the obvious obligation to stay as a father, but it didn't feel right, and after our son turned a year old, and a bad fight broke out, I realized maybe I wasn't the person she needed in life. I packed up, and found a room for rent, started sending payments for child support, and tried to move on. 5 months go by, and I'm surviving. Not the happiest camper, but not miserable. I've never missed anything, or anyone as much as I missed my son, and after those 5 months, I simply couldn't stay away from him any longer. We 3 met up, and had a pleasant weekend, where my now ex-girlfriend seemed unusually open and easygoing, and my son was very happy to see me, which both melted and broke my heart. Overall, it was emotional as frick, and looking back on it, I realize how foolish I was, but I asked her to marry me, and here we are 4 years later. As some might have already guessed, I wasn't in love with her, nor had she changed, and things went back to normal within a week or so. Unexplainable dramatic explosions followed by self-hatred and pity fishing, sleeping the day away, and being 100% unproductive. But by far the most hurtful and damaging was the jealousy. Female contact of any kind was off limits. Even casual conversation with male co-workers would cause a bad reaction and period of resentment. I've lost a dozen friends, a dozen hobbies, and countless opportunities, so I could tread carefully around her preferences. For anyone unfamiliar with BPD, these are normal symptoms to deal with. I'm a pretty shy dude. I don't take compliments well, and I despise violence. I hate to talk about myself, but believe me when I say, I've poured my entire being into this relationship. Her parents constantly compliment my resilience, and commend my kindness in the face of her anger. I try to be the model husband. I've held a good job our entire relationship, and provided her with spending money, clothes, food, housing, etc. She has worked only a few months total during our time together. I've never held it against her to stay at home, and when necessary for our son, it obviously wasn't an issue. I make her coffee and breakfast, encourage and compliment her, and generally try my hardest to be the kindest person I can be. But recently I've noticed some terrifying realities about myself, and I can't allow the pattern to continue. I'm no longer the person she first fell in love with. She's warped me into someone entirely different, someone afraid to speak his mind, passive on controversial topics, and absolutely lifeless. I have no real friends, and the only free time, when I'm not judged for my fingers moving behind the screen, is when I'm in the bathroom, where I'm typing this. If she sees I'm texting/typing, she'll ask who it is, and why, and if I say it's private, or make an excuse, she'll go into full attack mode, and I'll be sleeping in the car at Walmart. This has happened multiple times. So, friends from my favorite social platform, do you all have any insight for me? Here's what I know in my heart at this moment. Whatever love there was between my wife and I is absolutely gone. I'm ready to move on with my life and make an attempt to become myself again. I'm not well off. This is going to be very tricky for me to pull off financially. It's going to be dramatic. I'm sorry for the length. If you've actually made it this far into my story, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Even if you have nothing to say, or just leave a bit of encouragement, I appreciate you taking the time. Much love to all of you awesome folk. I love reading all the advice you've shared with people in boats like mine. You all keep this world together one person at a time. Oh, and sorry for any grammatical errors. It's been 10 years since high school, and I work in manufacturing. We don't do the talk good here. Here's the first comment. Dude, I'm the adult child of a mother with BPD. I'm sorry that you're in this situation. First of all, you need to get out, but you absolutely need to ask for primary custody. Your child will become the target once he has an opinion or thought that isn't hers. Your kid is innocent and the only person who didn't choose to be in this situation. Here's the next comment. To start reducing drama, look into grey rocking. Keep conversations factual and present as little of your emotion as possible. By not reacting, you become less interesting and less of a target. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. For your sake and your son's sake, I'm the adult son of a borderline mother, and it was pretty far from healthy or stable. You have to get out. Like the emergency instructions on oxygen masks say, secure your mask before tending to your child's. I'm not sure what the process would be to encourage her to seek help, but she'll need it. And so will you. Recovering yourself isn't as easy as distance. Here's the next comment. Exactly. Has she tried therapy? I was diagnosed with BPD almost 3 years ago when I was 25, female. To be honest, I had always thought that that was my personality and couldn't help it. But when I noticed I constantly ruined my relationships and met my current boyfriend who suffers with his own mental illnesses but takes care of himself with therapy, I felt the need to seek therapy as well and then went on meds. But listen, you don't need to deal with her. I'm telling you my experience. If you want to help her for the sake and safety of your child, if she won't take therapy or meds, believe me, she's never going to change. And even if she does, as I said, you don't have to deal with her. Here's the next comment. As someone who was raised by a mother with BPD and an enmeshed father that stayed, leaving will give your son the best chance of a safe and secure childhood. It's only a matter of time, if not already, when your son will also be a target of this abuse and emotional manipulation that you've already endured. I'm so sorry that you have experienced this, but you are an adult, and these were the choices you made. Your son didn't get a choice and has been born into a stressful and confusing environment. He's lucky that you understand. It's right to remove both of yourselves from this situation. Head on over to r/raised by borderlines if you're interested in seeing some of the trauma that could be potentially inflicted on your son. Here's the next comment. I'm 25 and was diagnosed with BPD at 21. I think the problem here is that she clearly isn't in a place to recognize, acknowledge, and then try to resolve the issues she is having. Until she accepts that BPD is going to be a key part of her life forever, she is never going to get the help she needs. I'm really sorry you're going through this and feel for both you and your son, and I think it's really important to try to broach this as sensitively as possible. Though it probably won't make a difference to her reaction, at least you can continue with your life knowing you did everything in the best way you could. Try to make sure your son isn't around for at least a few hours after you plan on having this conversation. Good luck. I hope it all works out for you. Here's the next comment. I was in a similar situation with my ex-wife. Married her because we had my daughter, but I wasn't in love. She was extremely controlling and manipulative. I think the only thing she never did was project self-pity or fish for pity. The only time I remember her feeling self-pity was for the baby shower. She was upset because some friends couldn't make it. She had a meltdown. I tried to justify why they couldn't come, but she yelled at me for never taking her side. Virtually everything else was the same. It was insanely draining. The whole relationship changed me so much. People I'd known for decades noticed how much I'd changed once I finally left. It was tough because of my daughter, but leaving was the smartest thing I could have done. She tried to mess with my life for a while after. She attempted to sue me, and it was thrown out. Very dramatic. I wasn't well off at all either. Matter of fact, I was homeless for 6 months before I managed to get it together on my own. But even being homeless for a short period was more peaceful and free than being trapped in a relationship with a narcissist. Here's the next comment. I live with my partner who was recently diagnosed with BPD and has BPD, bipolar affective disorder, as well. We had some very difficult times in our relationship because of his BPD, but he takes therapy and is on meds as well. I myself am training to be a psychologist and have had counseling as well for surviving in this relationship till my partner gets better. Therapy takes time. Nothing helped me more than this book called Stop Caretaking for the Borderline or Narcissist by Margolis Fjellstad. Maybe it will help you to part ways with your wife and give a better life to your son. Good luck. Here's the next comment. Doctor up and meds. They got to get the meds right, the right kind and amounts. In my sister-in-law's case, she got so up that the police were called to get the hospital to evaluate her, then transferred to the psych ward where they adjusted the meds until they could stabilize her. She's had 3 big events in the past 10 years. I know exactly what you are going through. It's one of the crappiest diseases to deal with because of the stigma and the toll it takes on the family. In my sister-in-law's case, she lives a normal life 98% of the time when they get the drugs right. There is hope. I would look for local BPD resources or support groups that can help with anything from a shoulder to cry on, to finding mental health support networks that can help with meds and doctors. There is hope. You might just have to get her voluntarily committed to get it started, which is a terrible thing to do, but sometimes it's the right thing to stop the cycle and get her leveled out. Here's the next comment. Hey dude, that just read like a flashback of my life to me. I relived the screaming, anger, and constant blame game, as well as the financial ruin and humiliations. I walked away, moved to a different country, from my kid as well, when I realized I wasn't in control of myself anymore. Still send payments, and rebuild one by one, job, hobbies, confidence, etc. I think the biggest one was understanding why I chose to fall in love, not see the red flags much earlier. These things go much deeper, and you will end up in a similar situation all over again. I miss my kid a lot, but there wasn't any other way. I feel you. Stay strong, and understand that making tough choices are part of adulthood. Hope you come out stronger from this. Thanks for watching.